Imagine a national football team that, well, basically failed to win a single match in their traditional World Cup qualifying group.
Right, which is just crazy to think about.
It is. And I don't just mean, they had a tough run against the usual European powerhouses.
Yeah.
I mean finishing dead last.
Literally at the bottom of the table.
Exactly. Finishing behind Switzerland, finishing behind Slovenia.
And behind Kosovo.
Behind Kosovo. Yeah. Scoring barely anything, securing just 2 measly points from draws, and of course, suffering a genuinely humiliating 1-0 defeat to Kosovo that, it had fans ready to tear down the stadium.
Yeah, it was a dark time for the supporters, to put it mildly.
Now, take that exact same team, right? A squad statistically ranked as the absolute worst in their group. And imagine them heading into the 2026 World Cup, boasting the most expensive player in British football history.
Oh, and arguably one of Europe's most lethal, in-form strikers right next to him.
It makes no sense. But welcome to this custom-tailored deep dive into the Swedish national football team, the famously beloved Blågult, the blue and yellow.
It really is the defining paradox of this entire tournament.
Today, we're taking a massive stack of sources to try and make sense of a team that just completely defies all conventional logic.
Because if you look purely at their qualifying sheet, they have zero business packing their bags for North America. It reads like a bureaucratic error.
Right. So we've pulled expert betting analyses and projections from VSign, RotoWire, and Sports Betting Dime. We've dug into tactical breakdowns and squad announcements from The Guardian, BBC Sport, MLSsoccer.com, FIFA, and Flash Score.
It's a mountain of data.
It really is. And our mission today is to map out exactly how this squad pulled off the ultimate great escape to even get here.
We have to dissect the tactical puzzle of a roster that is terrifyingly brilliant up front, but fundamentally flawed in the back.
Yeah, very flawed. And we're going to look at the statistical models to see if they can survive the absolute gauntlet of Group F. You're going to love the sheer drama of this team's journey because, honestly, it reads like a Hollywood script that would get rejected for being too unrealistic.
It really does. The first hurdle is just wrapping your head around the mechanics of their survival.
How are they even here?
Exactly. To understand how the Blågult are playing in this World Cup, you have to dissect the absolute catastrophe that preceded it under their former manager, Jon Dahl Tomasson.
Oh man, that UEFA Group B campaign.
A historic low point. They played 6 matches in that group.
And won 0.
0. They managed 2 uninspiring draws against Slovenia, lost both fixtures to Switzerland, and as you mentioned earlier, suffered that crushing 1-0 loss to Kosovo.
Just 2 points out of a possible 18.
Yeah, and the underlying numbers were just as bad as the surface results. The midfield just couldn't hold possession, the defense was constantly caught out of position.
And the players looked completely devoid of belief, right? Like they had just given up.
100%. Tomasson was sacked in October 2025. By every traditional metric, the Swedish World Cup dream was dead.
So they are mathematically eliminated. Done. Dusted.
But there's a back door.
Right. It's like failing every single midterm, completely bombing the final exam, and then finding out you passed the class because the professor counted an extra credit assignment you did 2 years ago.
That is the perfect way to describe the UEFA Nations League loophole. It's brilliant.
It's so weird. How does that even work?
Well, the structure of World Cup qualifying in Europe guarantees 12 playoff spots to teams that finish second in their groups.
Okay.
However, the remaining 4 spots are reserved for the best-ranked Nations League group winners who haven't already qualified.
Ah, okay.
And Sweden had topped UEFA Nations League Group C1 during the 2024-2025 cycle.
So basically because of a performance from a totally different era.
With a totally different momentum, yeah. They were handed a lifeline, a backdoor entry into the March playoffs.
Wow. Okay, so the Swedish Football Association gets this lifeline, but they know they can't send the same broken locker room into a playoff.
No, absolutely not. They'd get crushed.
Right. They need a total psychological reset.
Yeah.
And they hire Graham Potter.
Which was a massive shock to a lot of people.
It really was. To the casual observer, hiring an English manager who had recently been sacked by West Ham in the Premier League to come and save the Swedish national team sounds like a massive gamble.
It sounds like a panic hire. Until you dig into Potter's resume.
His history with Sweden is actually crazy.
It is. His connection to Sweden isn't superficial at all. It's foundational to who he is as a manager.
Right. Before Swansea or Brighton or Chelsea.
Exactly. Before all of that, Potter spent 7 years managing Östersund. He took them from the 4th tier of Swedish football.
Which is basically a regional league playing in front of, what, a few hundred people?
Yeah, basically. And he took them all the way to the top flight. He won the domestic cup. He took them into the Europa League.
Which is insane on its own.
And he did this in a subarctic climate where winter daylight lasts about 4 hours.
I read he actually convinced his wife to move there in 2011, which honestly might be his greatest persuasive achievement.
Honestly, yeah.
But, what strikes me in the source material is how he managed them. He didn't just, run passing drills.
Far from it. Potter believes that tactical execution on the pitch requires extreme vulnerability and trust off the pitch.
And he had a very weird way of building that trust.
Oh, very unorthodox. He famously integrated his players into the local culture by forcing them to put on theatrical performances.
Wait, like literal plays?
Yes. They performed the ballet Swan Lake.
You are kidding. A football team doing Swan Lake.
I'm completely serious. They wrote a book together. They put on an art exhibition.
That is wild.
The philosophy is that if you can look foolish singing on a stage in front of your community, well, you won't be afraid to make a high-risk forward pass in the 89th minute of a tight game.
Because you've already conquered the fear of embarrassment.
Precisely. He knows the Swedish mentality deeply.
And he had to leverage every ounce of that psychological capital immediately.
Right.
Because he takes over and suddenly it's March.
The playoff.
The playoffs. Win 2 games or go home.
Hmm.
First up, a semi-final against Ukraine, played in Spain.
And the tactical shift from the Thomasson era was immediate. Potter simplified the messaging, focused on getting the ball into advanced areas quickly.
And it basically just turned into the Viktor Gyökeres show.
It really did. Sweden wins 3-1 and Gyökeres scores a hat-trick.
Incredible.
He just physically dominated the Ukrainian center backs, dragging Sweden to the final.
Which sets up the playoff final against Poland in Solana. Now, the reports we pulled from BBC Sport paint this as an incredibly chaotic match.
Very chaotic. Poland controlled the tempo for long stretches. I mean, they dominated possession in the midfield.
But then, just before halftime.
Yeah. Jakub Kiwior gives away a needless foul. Daniel Svensson swings in the free kick. And Gustav Lagerbielke.
A guy we definitely need to talk about later.
Oh, absolutely. But Lagerbielke bullets a header into the top corner. And from there, it just becomes this chaotic end-to-end brawl.
Fast forward, it's tied at 2-2, and the structure of the game is completely gone.
Completely out the window.
We are in the 88th minute. Solana is holding its collective breath.
The 88th minute, the ball falls to Viktor Gyökeres again.
Of course it does.
Of course. And he scores the decisive winner, making it 3-2.
Oh man, the scenes.
Potter later described the noise in the stadium as triggering a literal out-of-body experience. You have substitutes running onto the pitch before the final whistle, risking yellow cards, just sheer pandemonium.
And they punched their ticket to North America.
They did.
Okay, so I am fascinated by the emotion of that night. But I have to play devil's advocate here.
Go for it.
Let's look at the cold, hard facts. Potter won 2 playoff games, relying heavily on adrenaline, set pieces, and the individual brilliance of one striker having the game of his life.
True.
Can a team that failed to win a single regular qualifying match, a team that only made the playoffs because of a bureaucratic loophole, can they actually compete at a World Cup?
That's the big question.
Right. Like when the adrenaline wears off in the group stages, aren't they just going to get exposed by teams with actual structural integrity?
And that is the exact debate polarizing football analysts right now.
I bet.
Because the argument for their legitimacy doesn't come from their qualifying record. It comes from their personnel.
Their roster is stacked.
It is. The talent disparity between Sweden's front line and almost anyone else in the tournament is staggering. Yes, they climbed through the bathroom window to get into this party.
I love that quote. That was from The Guardian, right?
Yeah, a brilliantly put piece from The Guardian. But the point is, once you are inside, the bouncer doesn't care how you got there.
Fair point.
And when you look at the tactical blueprint Potter has implemented to maximize these players, you see it's a system designed specifically to hide their flaws and amplify their world-class weapons.
All right, well, let's pop the hood on that tactical blueprint, because this is where the theory has to translate to the grass. Potter isn't just throwing 11 guys out there randomly. How does this system actually operate spatially?
So, based on the playoffs and their recent friendlies, Potter is deploying a highly fluid 3-4-2-1 formation. But, formations are just starting points. Out of possession, It settles into a flat 5-3-2 block to basically clog the middle.
Makes sense.
But in possession, it aggressively shifts. The two players behind the striker push up, essentially morphing the shape into a 3-4-1-2.
Okay, wait. If you are playing 3 center backs and you have 4 players packed into the central midfield, that leaves the entire length of the touchline completely empty.
Exposed.
That places a terrifying amount of physical responsibility on the wingbacks.
It is arguably the most physically demanding role in modern football.
Who is playing those spots?
Well, Potter relies entirely on Gabriel Goodmanson of Leeds United on the left and Daniel Svensson of Borussia Dortmund on the right.
And they are responsible for providing all the width.
All of it. When Sweden wins the ball, Goodmanson and Svensson have to sprint 40 to 50 yards up the flanks to stretch the opposition's defense, creating passing triangles.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. And worse, when Sweden loses the ball, they have to sprint all the way back to form a 5-man defensive line.
And if they are a second late...
Then the opposition has an unopposed highway straight to the penalty box.
Wow. So Potter is risking massive defensive exposure on the wings just to cram as much talent into the center of the pitch as possible.
Exactly.
And he's doing that to accommodate the crown jewels of this roster.
Yes, the heavy hitters.
Let's talk about the strike force keeping opposition managers awake at night. Starting with Viktor Gyökeres.
Gyökeres is just the ultimate modern physical forward. I mean, after his high-profile move from Sporting CP to Arsenal, there were doubts about whether his game would translate to the Premier League.
Right, people were skeptical.
But he absolutely obliterated those doubts. In the 2025-2026 season leading up to this tournament, he scored 14 goals across all competitions.
That's huge.
Yeah, the only Premier League player to outscore him in the calendar year of 2026 was Ollie Watkins.
I call him the brawler.
And that fits perfectly.
Right. He attacks the pitch with violence. He doesn't just look for space. He actively seeks out contact with center backs, bullies them off the ball, and attacks the box in straight, direct lines.
It's pure intimidation.
And he's become a massive cult hero in Sweden. I mean, kids everywhere are doing his goal celebration.
The Bane mask, right.
Yes, where he covers his mouth with his hands, interlocking his fingers to mimic the mask of Bane from the Batman movies. It perfectly encapsulates his style. Pure, relentless power.
He literally forces errors through sheer physicality. But you know what makes the Swedish attack theoretically unplayable is that Gyökeres is only half the equation.
Right, there's another superstar.
You have the brawler, and then you have the technician.
Alexander Isak.
The most expensive transfer in British football history when Liverpool paid £125 million to sign him from Newcastle.
A staggering amount of money.
But his profile is the polar opposite of Gyökeres. Isak doesn't want to wrestle center backs. He wants the ball at his feet.
Right, he's smooth.
He has elite technical spatial awareness. That means he knows exactly how to receive a pass on the half turn, slip past a defender using subtle footwork, and create his own shot.
So he's not just a target man.
No, he operates almost like a number 10, drifting laterally across the defensive line.
Now, Isak had a devastating broken leg that kept him out of the March playoffs, which is why Gyökeres had to shoulder the burden alone.
Right, which he did beautifully.
He did. But Isak is fully recovered now, and he just scored a vintage goal in a warm-up friendly against Norway. So Potter has both of them fit.
A great problem for a manager to have.
But having 2 superstars doesn't mean they play well together. I mean, I look at this pairing like trying to put 2 steering wheels in one car.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. Because Gyökeres wants to slam his foot on the gas and drive straight through the defense, while Isak wants to pump the brakes, drift out wide, and navigate tight spaces.
Yeah, different rhythms completely.
So when they both try to steer the attack at the same time, doesn't the spacing just get completely cluttered?
It does. And that is the exact problem Potter is currently trying to solve. In fact, Potter admitted they haven't actually played many competitive minutes together under his specific system.
And we saw your steering wheel analogy play out perfectly in real life just days ago, didn't we?
We did. On June 4th, Sweden played a warm-up friendly against Greece, drawing 2-2.
And the tactical reports from that match were glaring.
Glaring is the right word. The collaboration between Isak and Gyökeres was jarringly disjointed.
What were they doing wrong?
Well, they kept making runs into the exact same central zones, which means they were bringing their defenders with them and basically suffocating the space neither of them needs to operate.
So they were just crowding each other out.
Exactly.
Well, if the strikers are getting in each other's way, you need a midfield that can manage the tempo and deliver the ball exactly when the timing is right. Let's look at the engine room sitting behind them.
Okay, so you have a really fascinating dynamic in the center of the pitch. You have youth providing the spark and experience providing the anchor.
Talk to me about the youth first.
The youth comes from Yassin Ayari, a 22-year-old midfielder at Brighton.
Brighton, another club Potter obviously knows well.
Very well. Now, Ayari's key attribute is press resistance. When a team tries to trap him, he has the close control to wiggle out of a phone booth, basically.
Keep his head up.
Yeah, keep his head up and break the lines with a forward pass.
And next to him, you have the anchor, Jesper Karlstrom,
Yes.
the 30-year-old captain of Udinese.
Yeah.
I read through his background and the sources, and it is easily one of the most compelling human interest stories in this entire tournament.
It really is. Karlstrom is a late bloomer on the international stage, but his mental fortitude is what defines him.
He went through a lot.
He did. Early in his career, while playing domestically for Djurgården, he suffered from a severe consuming gambling addiction.
Wow.
And he has spoken incredibly openly about hitting rock bottom. He talks about how the intervention of his club and his family literally saved him.
That's powerful.
He beat the addiction, rebuilt his life, and climbed his way all the way to the captaincy of his Serie A club.
It's an amazing story of personal resilience. But how does that emotional maturity translate to Potter's tactical blueprint out on the pitch?
Well, it translates into absolute panic-free decision-making.
Which you need in this setup.
Exactly. When you play a high-wire tactical system where your wingbacks are caught way up the pitch and the opponent is suddenly counterattacking, the team's collective heart rate spikes.
Chaos ensues.
Chaos. But Karlstrom is the heart rate regulator. He sits deep, he reads the game 2 steps ahead.
He makes the cynical tactical foul if necessary.
Yes, the smart foul, and he just calms the possession down. He is the designated communicator who ensures the back three don't completely collapse under pressure.
And they are going to need him to be absolutely flawless because, and we have to address this, there is a massive glaring flaw in this team.
We can't ignore it.
An elite attack and a resilient holding midfielder are great, but World Cups are usually won by teams with structural balance.
Usually, yes.
And digging into the medical updates and the squad lists, Sweden's structure is missing a crucial load-bearing pillar.
You really cannot accurately assess Sweden's World Cup chances without discussing the devastating absence of Dejan Kulusevski.
The Tottenham Hotspur star, just completely ruled out.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. In May 2025, Kulusevski suffered a severe knee injury following a nasty collision with Crystal Palace's Mark Guéhi.
Ouch.
The Swedish medical camp held their breath, praying for a miraculous recovery, but the timeline was just too tight. Graham Potter had to officially exclude his captain from the 26-man roster.
That must have been a brutal conversation.
Potter actually noted that calling a player to tell them their World Cup dream is over is the toughest conversation a manager can have.
I can imagine. But from a football perspective, this isn't just losing a good player. It's a systemic nightmare for Potter.
A total nightmare.
Break that down for me. Why is Kulusevski specifically so irreplaceable in this 3-4-2-1 system? What does he do that, say, Ayari or Isak can't?
It comes down to the concept of half spaces.
Explain that for the listener.
So the half space is the vertical channel on the pitch that exists between the wing and the absolute center.
Right.
It's basically the most dangerous area in football because center backs don't want to step out to defend it, and fullbacks don't want to step inside to defend it.
So it's this weird gray area where defenders hesitate.
Exactly. And Kulusevski is an absolute master of operating in the half space. He drops deep, receives the ball from someone like Karlstrom, turns, and acts as the creative bridge.
He's the connective tissue.
Yes, he is the guy who threads the needle to Isak or Gyökeres. Without him, there is a massive void. The midfield is completely disconnected from the attack.
Which means the defenders might just panic, bypass the midfield entirely, and start launching long balls to Gyökeres, hoping he can wrestle it down.
Which is not sustainable over a tournament.
No. And speaking of the defense, that foundation looks incredibly fragile even before you factor in the missing pieces up top.
Oh, the defense is definitely the weak link. The central defense is anchored by Victor Nilsson Lindelöf of Aston Villa.
Who takes the armband now that Kulusevski is absent, right?
Right, he's the captain now. And he's alongside Isak Hein of Atalanta, who acts as the physical enforcer.
Okay, so Lindelöf and Hein. That sounds okay.
They are highly competent, but behind them, the drop-off in depth is a cliff.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. If Hein gets a yellow card accumulation suspension, or if Lindelöf tweaks a hamstring, Potter is looking at a bench with very little international pedigree.
And whoever's playing center back is going to be constantly looking over their shoulder because they have no idea who is actually guarding the net.
That is the other massive issue.
The goalkeeper position is a total unknown.
It is incredibly rare and very, very dangerous for a team to enter a major international tournament without an undisputed #1 goalkeeper.
Who is even in the mix?
Well, Christopher Nordfeldt of AIK is the projected starter, but he hasn't locked the job down at all. He is facing heavy competition from Victor Johansson of Stoke City and Jacob Waddell Zetterstrom of Derby County.
So it's just a three-way toss-up, basically. And when a goalkeeper is unsettled, the entire defensive line plays with hesitation. They don't know when the keeper's going to come off his line, and they don't know how he communicates under pressure.
Right, because they haven't built that chemistry. And we are seeing these structural cracks clearly in the pre-tournament friendlies.
Very clearly.
I mean, just days before flying out, they lose 3-1 to Norway. Then they play Greece, take a 2-1 lead, and blow it in the 94th minute to draw 2-2.
This is the tactical paradox of Graham Potter's Sweden fully exposed.
Walk me through exactly how it breaks down in real time.
Okay, remember the wingbacks? Gudmundsson and Svensson.
The guys sprinting 50 yards up the touchline.
Right. We established they have to push extremely high up the pitch to provide with. Now combine that with the Kulusevski void.
Okay.
Sweden pushes the wingbacks high, but because they don't have Kulusevski to safely secure the ball in that half space, they misplace a pass.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Suddenly the opponent has the ball. The Swedish wingbacks are trapped deep in the opponent's half, and they can't sprint back in time.
No chance. The central defense, lacking elite recovery pace, is totally exposed. The opponent simply bypasses the midfield and attacks those massive empty spaces left by the wingbacks.
It just leads to high-quality, lethal counterattacks.
Over and over again.
So, if your defense is mathematically proven to be leaky, and your goalkeeper is a massive question mark, but your attack features a £125 million technician and a brawler who scores 14 goals a season.
Yeah.
Is Potter's only viable strategy just accepting the chaos? Is the game plan simply trying to win every single match 4-3?
Honestly, it might have to be.
Really?
I mean, normally tournament football defaults to caution. Managers usually tighten up and try to win 1-0.
Keep it tight at the back.
Right. Potter himself has stated he expects slower games and an emphasis on set pieces, but Sweden simply does not have the defensive personnel to sit in a low block and absorb pressure for 90 minutes.
People crack.
They absolutely will. They are fundamentally built to score goals, which means they are implicitly built to concede them.
Which perfectly brings us to how Potter manages the chaos mid-game.
Because the chaos is inevitable.
Right. If plan A is score more than the other guy, and plan A starts stalling around the 60th minute, you can't rely on your defense to hold the line. You have to inject more chaos.
You have to double down on the offense.
Exactly. Let's talk about the wild cards on the bench. The X factors who are going to come on and break the game open, starting with a player who is rapidly becoming a huge fan favorite, Taha Ali.
Taha Ali is a phenomenal weapon to have in reserve. They call him the Joker of the squad.
I love that.
He plays his club football domestically for Malmö FF, and he is not your traditional rigid winger.
No, one of the sources, a quote pulled from a tactical thread on X, actually described him as a streets won't forget player.
Oh, that's perfect.
Right. For the listener, that is the ultimate compliment for a player whose style is pure entertainment. He plays like he's on a concrete court in his neighborhood.
He really does bring a futsal mentality to the grass. He is an elite, unpredictable 1v1 dribbler.
So how does Potter use him?
Well, picture this. An opposition fullback has been chasing Gudmundsson up and down the touchline for 65 minutes.
So their legs are heavy, they're exhausted.
Exactly. And that's when Potter brings on Taha Ali. Ali isolates that tired defender, drops his shoulder, and basically breaks their ankles.
And we saw this exact scenario play out perfectly in the Greece friendly.
We did. Ali came off the bench in the 64th minute. Within moments, he beat his marker on the wing, drove toward the end line, and delivered a pinpoint cross to assist Gustav Nilsson.
Giving Sweden a temporary lead.
Right. He completely changes the geometry of the final third when he comes on.
Okay, so that's the attacking spark. But on the other end of the pitch, if they desperately need to defend a set piece or even score from one, they have Gustav Lagerbielke.
Yes.
And I am officially naming him the Baron.
Which is entirely accurate. You're not making a joke there. You are being completely literal.
100% literal. He plays center back for Braga. He is the guy who scored that massive, crucial header against Poland in the playoffs to spark the whole comeback. And he is literally a baron. He is a member of the Swedish nobility, officially 254th in line to the throne.
That is just insane.
The guy grew up with a literal coat of arms on his shin pads.
It's an incredible piece of trivia. But, his impact on the pitch is strictly blue-collar.
He's tough.
Very tough. Lagerbielke proved against Robert Lewandowski in the playoff final that he is not intimidated by world-class strikers.
He held his own.
He did. He is aerially dominant. Honestly, a strong showing in North America could easily trigger a transfer to one of Europe's top 5 leagues this summer for him.
So he's got a lot to play for. But Potter also has to find a way to patch the Kulusevski hole using his bench. And that responsibility falls heavily on the shoulders of a 20-year-old.
Lucas Bergvall.
Yes.
And that is a tremendous amount of pressure for a 20-year-old. Bergvall plays for Tottenham Hotspur, meaning he literally shares a club locker room with Kulusevski.
Oh, wow. So he knows him well.
Very well. He has watched how Kulusevski operates in those half spaces daily. And now, at 20 years old, he has to step onto the World Cup stage and shoulder a significant portion of that exact creative burden.
Is he ready for that?
Well, he came on as a substitute in both playoff matches, showing some real flashes of brilliant progressive passing.
So there's potential there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you pair his vision with the explosive, raw pace of someone like Newcastle's Anthony Elanga coming off the other wing.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Potter actually has a really diverse toolkit on the bench to change the tempo of a match.
So if you are listening to this and you are tuning in to watch Sweden in this tournament, set an alarm for the 60th minute of every match.
Highly recommend that.
Because when you see Taha Ali stretching his hamstrings on the touchline or Anthony Elanga taking his warm-up bib off, that is the exact moment Graham Potter is throwing tactical caution to the wind.
That is the moment the game shifts from a chess match to a track meet.
I love that. It is the moment Sweden accepts their identity. They stop trying to control the game and they start trying to overwhelm it.
Totally.
Well, let's put that identity to the test. We've built the Swedish machine. We know its horsepower, we know its faulty brakes, and we know who is steering it.
Now we need to put it on the track.
Exactly. Group F in North America is a fascinating stylistic gauntlet. The matches are set, the betting lines are crystallized. Let's break down exactly how Sweden's 3-4-2-1 matches up against these opponents, game by game.
All right, match 1 sets the tone immediately. Sunday, June 14th at the Monterrey Stadium in Mexico. Sweden opens against Tunisia.
I'm circling this match in red ink. I'm calling it The Wall.
The Wall is a very appropriate name.
The Tunisian squad, managed by Sabri Lamouchi, is a defensive fortress that feels purpose-built to frustrate a team exactly like Sweden.
Yeah, the statistics behind Tunisia's qualification are just staggering.
Lay it on me.
In their African qualifying campaign, they played 10 matches. They did not concede a single goal.
Wait, 0 goals.
10 matches, 0 goals against.
That is absurd. How is that even possible?
Let me explain how they do that. They play what is called a low block.
Okay, what does that look like?
Instead of pushing their players up the pitch to try and win the ball back in Sweden's half, they retreat. They drop all 10 outfield players deep into their own territory, basically packing the area in front of their penalty box.
Just daring you to try and pass through them.
Exactly. And they are anchored by Elias Skiri, a brilliant defensive midfielder who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. He acts as a sweeper right in front of the center backs.
So physically, there is just no space anywhere near the goal.
None. Which is a total nightmare for Victor Gyökeres.
Right, because Gyökeres wants to run into open green grass behind the defense.
And Tunisia will give him 0 grass.
And Isak wants to dribble through the lines. But if there are 8 bodies in the penalty box, the passing lanes are non-existent.
Precisely. And without Kulusevski to pick the lock with a genius pass, Sweden historically struggles immensely against compact defenses.
And the betting markets reflect this, right? The Prize Picks payout has Tunisia at 2.38x, which implies roughly a 42% chance for an upset or a draw.
Yeah, the math is not in Sweden's favor here.
This has all the makings of an incredibly frustrating, suffocating 0-0 or 1-0 match.
It is a massive trap game, because if Sweden fails to break the wall and drops points in Monterrey, the psychological pressure mounts astronomically.
Why?
Because match 2 is against the undisputed heavyweights of the group.
Match 2, the favorites, June 20th in Houston, Texas, against the Netherlands.
The Dutch juggernaut, managed by Ronald Koeman.
They are scary.
Very. If you look at the betting markets across Kalshi and Sports Betting Dime, the Netherlands have a 54% implied probability to win the group outright. They're currently sitting at -17 odds.
I mean, you look at the Dutch roster, and it looks like a custom-built FIFA Ultimate Team.
It is arguably the most complete defensive talent pool in the world.
Who do they have at the back?
You have Liverpool legend Virgil van Dijk, the blistering pace of Tottenham's Mickey van de Ven, Jean-Paul van Hecke, and Denzel Dumfries.
Wow. Good luck getting past that.
They went undefeated in their 8 qualifiers, conceding an absurdly low 0.5 goals per match.
But the real problem for Sweden isn't just the Dutch defense, is it?
No, the real problem is the Dutch attack.
Right, because if Sweden's wingbacks are caught up the pitch, like we talk about, the Netherlands have the exact players designed to exploit that space.
Precisely. The Dutch attack is headlined by Cody Gakpo, Tijani Reinders, and Daniel Malen.
Speed on speed.
Malen is coming off a terrific season with Roma. He's even being floated by some analysts as a dark horse for the Golden Boot.
And what do the models say?
The RotoWire statistical model projects the Netherlands to score a massive 5.59 goals in just their 3 group stage matches.
So if Sweden leaves space behind Svensson and Gudmundsson?
Gakpo and Malen will relentlessly punish them in transition.
Ouch. So if match 1 is a wall that frustrates them, and match 2 is a mountain that might overwhelm them, the mathematics dictate that it will all come down to match 3.
The decider.
The decider. June 25th at AT&T Stadium in Dallas against Japan.
Now, Japan is currently ranked 18th in the world, managed by Hajime Moriyasu. And they present a completely different tactical problem for Potter.
How so?
Well, Japan plays a relentless, fluid, high-tempo pressing game.
So they won't just sit back.
No, they will not sit back like Tunisia, and they won't rely on pure physical dominance like the Dutch. They will try to run Sweden into the ground.
Now, looking at the injury reports, Japan is actually coming into this tournament slightly wounded, correct?
They are. They are missing 2 of their absolute premier talents. Kaoru Mitoma and Takumi Minamino are both out due to injury.
Which has to be a relief for Sweden.
It is a massive loss of creativity for Japan. But dismissing them would be a fatal error.
Right. Who do they still have?
They still possess incredible quality. They have Liverpool's Wataru Endo anchoring the midfield, Crystal Palace's Daichi Kamada pulling the strings, and Feyenoord's Ayase Ueda up top.
And Ueda is dangerous, right?
Very. He comes into the tournament as their top scorer with 16 goals in 39 appearances.
What's truly fascinating to me is how the betting markets view this matchup. The experts over at VSign actually highlight Japan as the best value pick to win Group F at plus 300 odds.
And their rationale for that is brilliant.
Explain it for me.
In the chaotic, condensed environment of tournament football, collective cohesion and tactical efficiency almost always beat individual star power.
System over superstars?
Exactly. Japan has a system where every player knows exactly where the next pass is going. Sweden, on the other hand, has 2 superstars trying to share one steering wheel and a defense that doesn't even know its goalkeeper.
That's such a stark contrast. So that's the crux of the group. When you aggregate the projections from RotoWire and analyze the betting splits, the computers give Sweden a 63.3% chance to advance out of the group stage.
That is a solid probability.
It is. However, they only give Sweden a 17% chance to actually win the group.
Right, because the models heavily favor the Dutch to take the top spot.
Meaning Sweden is projected to finish second.
Yeah.
And finishing second has massive implications because it likely sets up a round of 32 clash against whoever wins Group C, instantly throwing them into the fire against another tournament favorite.
It's a brutal path.
But you know, these statistical models and the betting odds can never accurately quantify.
What's that?
The environment, the fans.
Oh, the Blaugold supporters are a genuine force of nature.
They're famous for completely taking over host cities. I mean, you're going to see an absolute sea of blue and yellow flooding the streets and stadiums of Monterey, Houston, and Dallas.
It's going to be a spectacle.
Their signature anthem is Kanapol, a song that essentially references pitchers of beer arriving. And it culminates with this roaring lyric, "We are coming with 100,000 men."
Which is intimidating to hear from the pitch.
When a team is physically exhausted in the 80th minute, that wall of sound can genuinely drag them across the finish line.
It really creates a home field advantage in a totally neutral venue. And for a team that relies heavily on emotion and momentum like we saw in the playoffs against Poland, that crowd energy is a tangible tactical asset.
So let's pull all of these threads together. To summarize this wildly improbable journey for our listeners, we are looking at a team that statistically failed to qualify through traditional channels.
Yep.
They are managed by an Englishman who forged his philosophy in the frozen isolation of northern Sweden,
Doing ballet.
right, doing ballet. They are powered by an attacking duo in Isak and Gyökeres that features a 125 million pound technician and a brawler who terrorizes Premier League defenders.
But they are fundamentally hindered by the heartbreaking injury of their creative captain Kulusevski
A total lack of defensive depth.
and a completely unproven goalkeeper.
They are, by every single definition, the ultimate wild card of the 2026 World Cup.
Without a doubt.
So here's my final takeaway for you listening. Whether you are actively betting these matches on Prize Picks, whether you are meticulously tweaking your DFS lineups using RotoWire projections,
Or whether you are just sitting on your couch watching as a neutral fan of the beautiful game.
exactly. Sweden is guaranteed to provide box office entertainment. They do not have the personnel to play boring football.
It's impossible for them.
They are structurally built to score goals in bunches, and they are structurally doomed to concede them. Every time Graham Potter's team steps onto the pitch, chaos is going to follow.
I completely agree. But, before we sign off, I want to leave you with a broader, more philosophical thought to consider as you watch them play.
Oh, let's hear it.
So, the 2026 World Cup in North America is the first in history to feature an expanded 48-team format.
Right, a massive shift from the old 32-team structure.
Exactly. Under the old rules, the margins for error were razor thin.
Very unforgiving.
Sweden, a team that failed to win a single regular qualifying group game, would be sitting at home right now watching the tournament on television.
Yeah, their World Cup dream would have died the night they lost to Kosovo.
They are only here because the expansion of the tournament necessitated the creation of backdoor loopholes, like that Nations League playoff path we talked about.
So they are the ultimate beneficiaries of the new math.
Which raises a really fascinating question about the soul of the tournament itself.
What do you mean?
Well, does the presence of Sweden validate the expanded 48-team format? Because thanks to that loophole, the global stage gets to witness undeniable world-class superstars like Alexander Isak and Viktor Gyökeres in their prime, which obviously elevates the entertainment value of the product.
Right, people want to see the best players.
Exactly. Or does a team failing their way into the group stages, riding in on a technicality from 2 years prior, dilute the ultimate prestige and meritocracy of World Cup qualification?
Man, that is a brilliant question. I mean, we want sports to be clean. We want it to be binary. You win the games in your group, you go to the World Cup. You lose, you stay home.
Simple as that.
But Sweden proves that the modern landscape of international football is muddy. It's built on coefficients, expanded brackets, and obscure technicalities.
Very muddy.
And yet, when Gyökeres makes that first physical run against the Tunisian defense, or when Isak drops his shoulder against Virgil van Dijk in Houston, nobody is going to care about the mass that got them there.
Not a single person in the stands will care.
The talent is undeniable, the flaws are fatal, and I, for one, cannot wait to watch every single minute of it. That is all for this deep dive. Enjoy the matches.